In the past couple of months, we have seen quite a lot of visual material of the new Microsoft Flight Simulator provided by its own developer. It is clear that special attention to detail has gone into the simulator being able to depict very realistic weather. We even had an episode created by the developers in which they go into quite some detail of how they simulate the weather and the experience we can expect to have once the simulator finally releases, sometime this year hopefully. But there was something we didn't really dive into in that episode, and that is, from where is the simulator gathering the weather data, and how is it creating a forecast? That information was not disclosed in that video, and the reason for that was that the Microsoft Flight Simulator team was not ready to disclose the partnership they worked out with a third party until a couple of weeks ago. The third party responsible of the weather was revealed to be Meteoblue, a meteorological service created at the University of Basel, Switzerland, in cooperation with the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the National Centers for Environmental Prediction. I was not able to pinpoint since when the service has been available, but since its creation, apparently their forecast became quickly popular within the scientific community and the public. Some of the public. To be more precise, the public with a specific interest in meteorology, such as mountaineers, astronomers, and of course, pilots. It wasn't until 2006 that this service was founded as a company. Since 2007, it is a shareholder company held by private investors. Revenue comes through service subscriptions and direct weather data sales into more than 20 countries. A good question to ask at this moment would be, what areas in the world are inside the scope of Meteoblue? Since early 2007, the Meteoblue computer cluster is daily computing high-resolution forecasts for Europe, Africa, and South America. Since 2008, also for Southwest Asia. In 2013, India, New Zealand, and a global forecast was added. For other areas, regional models and NOAA (NCEP GFS) model runs this process to generate information covering the entire world. Starting in May 2008, Meteoblue Point offers local forecasts for more than 5 million places worldwide, using proprietary modeling to generate locally adapted forecasts for surface and atmosphere. Through the introduction of their SPOT technology, Meteoblue became the first supplier worldwide capable of instantaneously showing local weather probabilities in graphical overview for every selected location. With Where to Go, Meteoblue launched the world's first full weather search on the web. They also enable you to search the best weather in the entire area surrounding your selected location for the next days and see the results on a map. My Maps enables users to create their own weather maps for Europe since 2006 and for any place in the world since 2012. For commercial customers, they created special services for high-precision forecasting, as well as for solar and wind energy, agriculture, and other businesses. And now we know, one of those other businesses will be the Microsoft Flight Simulator. As of today, Meteoblue has been 14 years in the forecasting business, and it does appear that they pioneered in various fronts in this science. More details on this from the Meteoblue's CEO, Carl Goodbrod itself.
Innovation is our DNA since the beginning, and this is expressed in some of the step changes made by Meteoblue in the weather business. One was this 2-kilometer weather model covering all Central Europe on an operational basis. We then followed with several high-resolution models for Africa and South America with 10 to 18 kilometer resolution, unique at the time, and 2013 we were the first private company to run a global weather model 7 days ahead with hourly intervals.
So it does seem to be a great partnership where the Flight Simulator end users will surely benefit. Now that we have a better understanding of what Meteoblue is, let's dive into how it will interact with the new Flight Simulator. Who better to introduce this technology than Matthias, co-founder of Meteoblue and Forecast System main developer.
Basically, we start by dividing the Earth in a number of small boxes. For every box, we need to define the weather. And we do this by storing temperature, wind speed, humidity, pressure, rain, snow, and pretty much everything that defines the weather. So now that we have stored that, we can have different weather in every single box. Obviously, for flying, we are not just interested in the weather at the surface, but also at higher altitudes. The way we solve that is by adding one more layer on top of that one, then another one, and another one, all the way up to the stratosphere. Flight Simulator is a project where there was virtually no limit on how much data we can provide. So we decided to have globally 250 million of these boxes. So now Flight Simulator knows about the weather not just at the airport, but everywhere. Especially for the clouds, we added 60 vertical layers on top of each other, which then allows us to create this incredible amount of detail we see in the simulator. But how does the forecasting work? Well, let's do a simple experiment. I have a battery, which I place on this small slope, and if I let it go, it will roll down and eventually stop. Now, the question is, why is it doing that? Well, basically we have two forces acting on it. At the beginning, it's gravity that accelerates it, and then we have friction of the table that slows it down. So, if we know the forces acting on the battery, we can put those into mathematical equations and create a system of equations that's predicting the time evolution of this battery, so we know where it will be 30 seconds from now. With weather forecasting, the process is pretty much the same. The only difference is we have more variables and the equations are much more difficult. Now there's another important point to note here. The end result of our simulation is very much dependent on where we start. This starting point is called initial conditions. And we find these initial conditions by taking measurements. So these are ground stations, satellites, or even airplanes. Now when we measure the initial conditions, we cannot do that with infinite accuracy. So we could say we measure the starting position accurate to 1 centimeter, and then we let those go. We see both go to the right, which could be sunny weather. However, this small inaccuracy of 1 centimeter could lead to very different results in some situations. And this is why sometimes the weather forecast is very accurate and sometimes it's not very accurate. Well, the way to figure out if it's gonna be accurate or not is doing this. So we compute many forecasts and see how much they diverge or if they all go at the same place. Now, the real benefit of having all those models accessible is the possibility to combine them into one single forecast that is much more accurate. This is a real big data problem. Over the past years, we developed our own specific machine learning methods to solve the problem of finding this best combination. And it is this forecast we then publish on the website or sell to our customers. When we started working on the Flight Simulator project about 2 years ago, we were thinking about including forecasts for airports and maybe some upper level winds so that pilots can fly in the jet stream. But then the project grew so quickly and could ingest more and more data that now the weather looks almost like real. So in the current version, we included the full 3D icing risk data derived from cloud microphysics. This is a variable we weren't even thinking about in the beginning. The partnership with Microsoft has been really exciting for Meteoblue, as the innovation simply never stops. As you can imagine, here at Meteoblue we work a lot with code, maps, diagrams, but with Flight Simulator, even for us, it's the first time we can really experience the data we compute.
Listening to Matthias talk about the technology being developed really amazed me. The level of passion this company has for the ultimate weather forecast application is brilliant, and the way the Flight Simulator can make use of this brilliant technology is mind-blowing. You really start to appreciate the complexity of the real-world weather simulation. This is not just a flight simulator anymore, it is becoming a planet Earth simulator. Now the question is the sky the limit? Hope you enjoyed. Special thanks to my Patreons, Punda, Lovar Vegeta, Devin Cutting, Eastern Hops, and Ron Mailer. Thank you very much. If you wish to also become a patron, be sure to check out patreon.com/xcheck. Link is on this video's description. Happy flying! Cross check out.